everyone. Today we're going to talk about creating charts in a spreadsheet. Charts are a visual way to look at your data in your spreadsheet. This page is from the GCF Learn Free Microsoft Excel tutorial. I have this page linked in your Google Classroom assignment. If you have Microsoft Excel at home, you can watch these videos on doing it in Microsoft Excel. I'm going to show you how to create charts in Google Spreadsheets since that is a free tool. But if you have Excel, feel free to use Excel. I'll be posting the Excel 2010 and the Excel 2016 tutorial links. But this is a great slide about what the different chart types, what they look like and what their advantages are. So a lot of people are familiar with the column chart. They use vertical bars to represent your data. So however high the bar is, that's the amount of that particular point of data. And they work with many different kinds of data, and they're useful to compare information. So in this case, we're comparing different genres of book sales and comparing the different genres together and then comparing the different years together. Line charts are good for showing trends. You mostly see these used when you're comparing data over time. So this has some data compared over some different years, and you can see whether values are increasing or decreasing by how the line flows. Pie charts are great of showing how much of a piece of a whole are different points of data. So again, these are book sales, and you can see the mystery sales are a big chunk of sales, and it's easy to see that kind of information in a pie chart. Smaller slices are like sci-fi and fantasy. So again, it gives you how much a piece of a whole a particular part of the data is. Bar charts are much like column charts, except the bars go sideways. So depending on your data, you may think one version is better than another. But otherwise, they're also just like column charts. They're used for comparing. And area charts are very similar to line charts, except the area is filled in underneath them. All right, let's take a look at some data, and we're going to use this book sales data, or a version of it, to create some charts in Microsoft Excel, not Microsoft Excel, in Google Sheets, but you could also do it in Excel as well. So I'm going to start off with just a Google Sheet where I've put the data in here, and I will give you a copy of this spreadsheet so you can follow along and you can create the charts with me and play around with them. So whenever you want to create a chart, you always want to select what data you want to include in the chart. So in this first chart, I'm going to select all my data, and I want to include my kind of headings. So in this case, there's some headings for the year that the sales occurred and the genre of books, and the data is the individual sales. So romance sales in 2006, the numbers here. Romance sales in 2010 are here. But I'm going to grab all of this information, so I'm going to click and drag from cell A1 all the way down to cell F6 to grab all the labels and the numbers as well. And inserting a chart into the spreadsheet is under the Insert menu, so I'll go up to Insert, and I'll choose Chart. It'll take a second, and it automatically kind of throws a line chart up there, but over here you can choose what chart type you want. I'm going to change this to the column chart. And you can see it fits the data in however it thinks it belongs. And it adds some titles in here, and we can edit all of this. So right now it has all of the bars together grouped by genre. So the classics compared together, and the legend tells you what color it goes for which year. So this is 2006 sales of classics, 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2010. And if this was what I wanted to show with this chart, I wanted to compare kind of each genre grouped together, that would be great. But maybe I might want to switch it. I might want the years grouped together, and I might want the colors to be the different genres. And in that case, over here in my chart editor, there's lots of different things I can change. And one of them is this checkbox to switch rows and columns. So I'll go ahead and click that. And now my genres are represented by the different colors. And then my clusters are by year. So all of this is 2008. All of this is 2010. So depending on what story you're trying to tell to whoever's looking at this data, one way or the other might be more important. You can also edit the different labels. So there's a title here and it kind of lists the years, which is kind of funny. So I might just double click on that and change it to book sales. And over here, I can do some formatting. Maybe I can make it bold and I can change the alignment to center. So it's centered on the page. And over in this chart editor, it's grouped by category. So here's the chart and axis titles. So this is the chart title, and these are the axis titles. So right now the x-axis title says genre. Well, that's kind of it. It's like genre is grouped by year. So you might want to pick a different label for that. So you can also look at the vertical axis title. There isn't one right now, so depending on which chart you pick, there may or may not be different things to change. This area here is called the legend. So right now the legend is located up at the top. You can change the position if you want it on a different spot. You could put it on the right or the bottom. I'm gonna leave it on the right. So you can move things around, and I encourage you to play around with these different settings to see what things you like. You can add some different grid lines in here if you want there to be more lines so people can kind of see, you know, how far the different bars go. You can do all sorts of changes, and the best way to play around with it is just to experiment. If you accidentally click off the chart, you'll lose the chart editor, but you just need to click back on it, and there's this little dot 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 menu, and you can edit the chart and it will bring back the chart editor. I'm going to make another chart from this data. So I'm going to take this chart that I created and just put it in another worksheet so it's out of the way, and then I'll create another chart to play with. So under the dot 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 menu, I will click Move to Own Sheet, and it creates another worksheet down here, and it puts the chart all by itself. And I'm just going to call this column chart. And then this first sheet, I can click back on it, and this is the sales data. So we know what everything is. Okay, let's take a look at another kind of chart. And you don't always have to select all the data. Let's say I just wanted to look at the sales in 2010. So I want to compare the genres. So I'm going to click and drag to select the genres. And then I want to select this too, but it's not next to the genre labels. So I'm going to hold down the Control key, the key on the keyboard that says CTRL. So it says CTRL is the name of the Control key. If I hold that down while I select data that isn't next to each other, it will select them even though they're not right up against each other. So I'll click and drag to select this, hold down the Control key, and click and drag to select this. And see how both of these are selected? And then I can do Insert Chart, or there's also an Insert Chart button over here in the toolbar. Either one will work. And you can choose a different chart type. In this case, it gave you column. You could pick anything you want. I think I want to see kind of what part of the whole the different genres are. So I'm going to choose the pie chart. And you can see in 2010 the different sales by genre. So it's really easy to kind of see which part of the whole each genre is. So here's your classics, here's your mystery. And again, you can edit how this looks. And I can just say 2010 book sales. Maybe I can make it bold and centered. I can take a look at some of my titles, maybe add a legend. on there. There we go. So I've got my legend. I'll make it a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. What other things can I add? So I can look, I already added the title, so that's good. I've got my slices, so I could call out a different slice. I wonder if there's a way I can put some labels in the chart itself. So here's the slice label, so I can add a slice label, so that's under the pie chart menu. I can add just the name of the different genre, or maybe I'll put the percentage in there. There we go. So I have the names of the genres here and then the percentages over there. And then maybe I want to call out the romance because the romance is the biggest one. So I can pop that out a little bit. It gives you some different percentages to pop it out. That seems a little bit too far. I can change that number. Maybe I'll make it 10% popped out. That way it just separates it from the rest of the pie chart and calls attention to that particular slice of pie. Anything else we could do? Oh, under chart style, maybe I could make it 3D. Ooh, that looks kind of cool. So there's different things you can play around with. I'm going to put this on its own sheet again. And we'll call this 2000 pie chart. All right. Let's look at some other data. So let's look at just the mystery sales over time. So again, I'm going to select some data that's not next to each other. So I'm going to grab those years because I need to know what years the sales were. And then I'll hold down the control key again, and I'm just going to select the mystery data. And actually, I just need the year, so not this word genre. So I'll just grab the years and then hold the control key down and just grab the mystery data. And then I'll insert a chart again. And then here, it gives me a line chart. Great, because that's what I want. I want to see the sales change over time. And so I can just call this mystery sales from 2006 to 2010. And this label, it gives you a label of mystery. Probably more appropriate just to call that sales. So I can just double click on those and make changes. And this is the year. So sometimes it does a good job of guessing what the labels should be, and sometimes it doesn't do such a great job, but you can always change things. There we go. So that's a really simple chart. I'm going to pop that one over to its own sheet. I call that line chart. Let's do one more. I'm just going to grab all of the data again, insert a chart. And let's pick the horizontal bar chart, perhaps. So that's kind of the same as the column chart, just going horizontal. Again, you can click and drag these corner handles to make it a little bit bigger. And again, it's really the same thing as the column chart, except it's on its side. They have some other ones where they're kind of more stacked, so you can see how they kind of add up. Get that total sales kind of thing. Whichever, again, it's best to pick a chart that kind of, if you're presenting to someone, you want the chart to illustrate whatever points you're trying to make. So the trick is to pick the best chart to match what you're trying to talk about. All right, so the simple procedure for creating charts is to select your data first and then insert chart either under the insert menu and choose chart, or you click the insert chart button. You can choose the type of chart you want and then edit that chart in the chart editor. You can, in the setup, will let you switch rows and columns if you need to do that. It will let you choose a particular chart type. And under customize, you can customize things like the labels, the legend, the title, different axis labels. So you can have different things showing up on your chart, however you want it to appear. You can have things labeled. Feel free to play around with all the different things you can do, the different types of charts, and experiment. All right, I threw a whole lot on this one, so let me go back, make that more simple. So I wanted this to be the horizontal bar chart, kind of like those labels there. We'll leave those in there. There's the genre on this axis, and we can put book sales by genre. 2006 to 2010. And we'll put that one on its own sheet too. And we'll call this bar chart. So you should end up with a column chart, a pie chart, a line chart, and a bar chart. And you can play around with any of the settings that you want. You don't have to pick exactly the same ones as mine, but have at least one of each kind of chart. And then this first worksheet has your data in it. And that is how you create charts in a spreadsheet.